Live from Washington, you're watching Access Point, and I'm Aisha Tanzim. Hello and welcome. Today we'll talk about the women parliamentarians in Pakistan. Since most of them are selected by their parties and not directly elected by the public, there are questions as to whether they truly represent women. We have three guests joining with us. Two of us are already with us. We have Ms. Yasmin Rehman, who's the former advisor on women's issues to the former government. We have Anis Haroon, who is who's on the phone with us from Karachi. She's the former chairman of the National Commission on the Status of Women. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks.
Ms. Rahman, since you are yourself a parliamentarian and also a very active parliamentarian on women's rights, tell me, how are these women selected, the ones who come on the reserve seats for women? Is there a criteria that parties set to elect these women?
Yes, Aisha, definitely there is a criteria. Party central executive committees or the boards, they make the list. This is a list system, and they are elected and proportionate to the votes that the party get. And of course, the criteria, I think that different parties have their own criteria, and they see the political contribution of the any woman who is being put on the list, and of course there are other assessments the party makes, and then finally that list is made. It's not very easy to come on that list. It is quite a tedious procedure where the women apply to the party have their own assessment criteria, then if the woman fulfills, then finally she gets that ticket. And then
so
if
Ms.
the party
Rahman,
gets the vote,
you're saying that there's an extensive criteria. Anis Haroon, I want to come to you. Given that there seems to be a criteria, why do we see so many relatives of male members of parliament on that list? And why do we see so many affluent women on that list when Pakistan is a vast country?
Well, I think, what happens is that one has to see the potential and the capacity of women also to work as the parliamentarians. It's not that women who are coming from the other stratas of society are given representation in it, but there are few women definitely who come from the very good educational background and have some experience, and also can contribute to parliamentary debates and things like that. So they have to kind of balance it. They have to match it with the the level of the other parliamentarians as well. But having said this, I think that this quota system was supposed to be for a short time, maybe another couple of elections or one more elections. Then the parties will have to prepare women to come in the
general elections. And this is one of the things that the minorities say too, that maybe it's time for the parties to nominate women for general elections seats. And we will come back to you. I want to welcome another guest, Ahmed Bilal Mehboob, who's the executive director of PILDAT, is joining us via Skype. Mr. Mehboob, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, before I come to you, I want to talk to Sara Zaman, who has all the feedback that you, our viewers, leave on our social media pages. So, Sara, what are people saying about this?
I think on the issue of this criteria, commenters have a lot of different things to say. People are saying that since there is no stiff and no certain criteria for male members of the parliament, that why should women be subjected to any kind of list of qualifications? They think this would be discriminatory. But on Facebook, Muhammad Asam says these women should be elected in party elections before general elections are held. Top vote getters should be given seats in the parliament by each party. Guldast Zahid thinks now whether selected members of the parliament can be considered representatives of the masses. I'm sorry, there was a comment that I missed there. Guldast Zahid, I want to share his comment with you. He's basically saying that the women who are elected in general elections and who have actually worked as political workers have more of a commitment with the community. But Fawzia Niazi and Hamza Khan disagree. They say that if parliamentarians are not elected by the people, then they have no right to govern them. And I also want to show you what some men and women on the streets of Pakistan have to say about these issues. Let's take a look.
नहीं, वैसे मैं तो ख़ुद इस चीज़ के थोड़ा अगेंस्ट हूँ, क्योंकि जिस तरह हम लोग हर वक्त बात करते हैं कि जेंडर इक्वलिटी होनी चाहिए, जेंडर इक्वलिटी होनी चाहिए, तो फिर हर चीज़ में इस तरह की हों कि वुमेन भी अगर आएँ तो वो बाकायदा इलेक्शन एक प्रोसेस से गुज़र के आएँ, ये नहीं कि मखसूस नशिस्तों पे आएँ.
Women MNAs also come from very selected and few families, or from the upper ranking or higher ranking families, and they do not know the problems faced by the women belonging to middle income or the lower income families. So I don't think so that they are going to make any kind of a change.
And while some commenters suggest increasing women's representation in the parliament by having one male and one female member from each constituency, some others say women have no business being in the parliament at all. So the issue of criteria, people think it's going to be unfair to have that, but representation, most of the people want to see that increased.
Thank you very much, Sara. Let's go to Ahmed Bilal Mehboob. Mr. Mehboob, what do you think? It's time to have women in general elections and put aside this whole reserve seat system?
No, I don't think we are ready for that. I think still it's very difficult for women to compete in a general election, and political parties are not very forthcoming in giving tickets or allowing women to contest on general seats. So I think if we just do away with the quota system, I think we will be left with very minimal representation of women. As you will see on the general seats, there are only 6 women have been elected to the National Assembly. So I don't think we're ready yet, but I think there should be two major questions need to be addressed. One is the inner democracy of political parties, through which a decision is made about the women parliamentarians who come on the quota system. And secondly, I think the system of election of women should be, I think, reviewed. As you said, there should be one woman, one male, one female candidate from each constituency. Or there could be some constituencies only reserved for women to contest those seats. In India, they have already come up with a legislation, although it is not yet passed by both houses of parliament. But I think that will give them a probably standing equal to their male counterparts. I think women are discriminated currently in the House because they are considered to be something unequal to a male generally elected
parliamentarian.
member.
Okay, let me come to you, Ms. Rahman, since you said that there's a criterion, and then I want all of our guests to comment on it. I have some very interesting facts that I want to share with you and our viewers, and these facts I've picked up from Pakistani media, different newspapers, particularly Rauf Khlasra, who's a well-known investigative journalist, has written. We're talking about Punjab Assembly, 66 reserved seats. The new parliament, 33 have gone to women of Lahore. Not just women of Lahore, women from Defence and Model Town and affluent posh neighborhoods. In Sindh, out of 29 reserved seats, 14 gone to women in Karachi. In KPK, 3 of the reserved seats, 3 seats gone to the family of the Chief Minister, Pervez Khattak, his wife, his sister-in-law, his niece, all given reserved seats. Ms. Rahman, doesn't sound fair, doesn't sound like there's a criteria there.
Aisha, I would say that it all depends on how many women and from which areas, belonging to which areas the women have applied. We have to apply for the tickets for coming on reserve seats. And if the applications are not there from any other cities or rural areas or smaller towns, I would say, then what would the party do? Because it all depends on the applicants. Then they decide how many women have applied and from which areas. They try to accommodate all the areas, especially the rural ones. But I think the rural constituencies or the rural women are not really aware of the systems, or maybe they're not even yet. We have to make them aware of how to come.
So you're saying the rural
the
women are not applying. Ms. Haroon, do you think it's as simple as that? Recently, there's a whole controversy going on in Pakistan with the PTI leader Fawzia Qusuri, one of the founding members of the party, now left the party recently because she wasn't given a reserved seat, while 3 members of the KPK Chief Minister household were given seats. So do you think it's just a question of the rural women not applying?
Well, I don't think it is just a question of rural and not applying, but actually it depends on the representation. and it is sort of a proportional representation. And like Karachi, you said if there are 14 women from Karachi, I think because Karachi has a population of, a large population of 2 crores, what we call, about how many million? 20 million people. And I think
But what I'm trying to-
naturally, but what I'm saying is that, but it's not necessary that all the women who came from Karachi belong to the affluent class, because I know that women coming from the lower middle class also, and women coming from the area like Lyari also. I think the analysts should be careful looking at the background of women from where they are coming. A. And B, and I think, yes, Pakistan is still not ready for direct elections, but political parties can contribute by, nominating at least 10 to 15, 20% women in the general elections as a compulsory measure for the parties. Even the Election Commission had asked the political parties to nominate at least
15 to
10%.
20, or at least 10%, as you say. Mr. Mehboob.
But no political party accepted that. And I think it's totally, Imran Khan should look into it, that what is this? There are 3 relatives of Parvez Khattak coming into the party of Tehreek-e-Insaf, and Fawzia Qusuri, a very old member, not being given. But she was, I think, on the number 4 on the list. And PTI
But that is, isn't that
and
the
they
point,
didn't.
Ms. Haroon? Isn't that the point? She was one of the founding members, spent 18 years with the party, was with the party all this time, and these other women that joined much later, some of them even after that 30th October big rally, were given preference over her. So doesn't that show that real political workers are being sidelined for political families?
Well, I think that Tehreek-e-Insaf should answer for it, but to begin with,
But this
Fawzia
is happening in
Qusuri
all
herself-
the parties.
Listen. Fawzia Qusuri herself accepted the 4th position. Why did she agree to this in the beginning? Because the party believed that they are going to win at least, they are going to sweep in Punjab, so all these seats will go to Tehreek-e-Insaf. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. If they had, got 5 more seats, maybe Fawzia Qusuri would have been on the list. But there are women who are brought into the assembly, are those, according to her, who did not contribute much in the making of the party, and it happens. Because, you see, democracy is still in a very nascent stage. We haven't reached to, to a state where we
So
can say,
basically, what
yes,
you're saying
yes,
what you're saying is, and I don't want to focus
It's a
too much
part
on the
of the
case of,
process.
it's a part of a process. So, Mr. Mehboob, let's come back to expectations from women parliamentarians when they get to the parliament, and you've watched Pakistani Assembly's work very closely. Are they expected to perform different than the male parliamentarian? Is the expectation of the public, their own political party, the media, the same from them?
No, I don't think so. At least this is not my expectation. I would expect them to perform like any other member of the parliament. They are equal member of the parliament. They should be performing, but actually they have been performing in the case of legislation, in the case of business of the House, at least twice as good as their male counterparts. They have brought much more number of bills, private members' bill into the House. They have asked many more questions than their male counterparts did. They tabled many more motions in the House than their male counterparts did. So I think women parliamentarians, especially those who came on special seats, reserved seats, they have performed much better than the men and women who have come on general seats.
Okay, so
and one reason is, and to be honest, I think to be even-handed, one reason is because they are not under too much pressure of their constituency work, since they do not have a constituency, while other members are continuously under pressure from their constituency work. So that may be one reason, but whatever is the reason, their performance within the House, for which the people are primarily elected, have been very good and they have been twice as good
So
as the other ones.
let's find out what people of Pakistan expect from these women, and Sarah Zaman, our social media guru, will help us find that out.
Right, Aisha. So the women in Pakistan that we spoke to about this issue, they pointed out some very important issues that they would like to see women parliamentarians work on. Let's first hear them, and then I'll share the buzz from our social media platforms.
I must say these lawmakers' first priority should be to address or to raise this issue in Parliament, new Parliament, that DNA test that can be an important and significant evidence in a rape case. So these discriminatory laws should be undone.
आई होप कि वो हमारे मसाइल को जो हमारे हेल्थ इनइक्वालिटीज़ हैं उनको एड्रेस करेंगी और प्रॉपर अप्रोप्रिएट पॉलिसीज़ बनाएंगी।
ख़वातीन एक्सपेक्टिंग हैं या मदर्स हैं, उनको जॉब नहीं दी जाती, उनको निगलेक्ट किया जाता है, वर्क प्लेस पे उनकी फैसिलिटेशन नहीं है, बच्चों को घर छोड़ के फिर वर्क पे आना, उस तरह के बहुत सारे इश्यूज़ हैं।
So workplace facilitation and health issues are some of the problems that our people pointed out. On Facebook, Saira Balti is not too hopeful. She says, so far women parliamentarians just seem to be pretty, but not very intelligent. She says it doesn't matter if a member parliament is male or female, sincerity is the most important asset. And Khalid Ahmed Bengal says, in Pakistan, few politicians come into power to serve the common man. We hope women parliamentarians will work for women's rights. And Farooq Ali King says, as members of the National Assembly, women should contribute just like men. However, he says reserved seats are a waste of time and money. True women politicians should come through direct elections and then they should contribute. If you would like to read more comments or share your thoughts, please join us at facebook.com/VOA Urdu.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Ms. Rahman, I want to come to you. Ms. Jasmine Rahman, there are a couple of things that came up in our Facebook comments that I want to throw to you. One, they want women parliamentarians to change discrimination against women, not just in workplace, but also there was a mention of the DNA and the rape case. I think they were mentioning the Islamic Council that recently gave an opinion. Another thing that Mr. Mehboob said before we went to the social media pages was about them not having a constituency. Is that helpful or does it hurt? Because some people say if you don't have a constituency, you're more loyal to the party leadership than to any agenda.
I think to some extent I would agree with Mr. Mehboob. That because he has been very closely watching us all in the parliament, that the constituency-based politicians, I mean, of course, all their most of their focus is on constituency, and rightly so. If I had a constituency, I would be preferring my constituency over other issues, because we have to get re-elected, the members have to get re-elected. So that's, I think, to some extent justified. But when there is no constituency and the focus is more on legislation and parliamentary work, then I think one can work more hard, one can put on more effort, and I would say that 65% of the agendas in the previous assembly were moved by women, whether it's legislation, whether it's other
Ms. Rahman, when you're
business
talking about not having constituency, there was a comment in the previous Facebook hit that we had which said, this man said, since these women in parliament are not representative of the average women, most of them are affluent, while most of the females in Pakistan come from poor background, that these women don't really understand the issues.
No, I don't think so. I think earlier I've mentioned that most of the women, especially I would say about Pakistan People's Party, if you go through the list, you will see many of our political workers who have been nominated on these seats in the previous two elections. I won't say that all these women are from such class that they do not understand the problems of the common women in Pakistan. I think women in the parliament, they have really raised the issues that are pertaining to women in Pakistan. I would, little example, that when we used to raise a very petty, to some maybe it's very minor or petty, especially about the transport situation of women not getting transportation or ways of commuting. I remember many of our male colleagues would say, this is such a petty issue, why are you raising it in the parliament? But I think women are more sensitive to the problem problem of common women in Pakistan, and they try to raise it, and they are more sensitized on these issues. Having said that, quota system, Anis very rightly pointed out that one or two more elections we need this quota system, because in previous assemblies, you see in 2008 there were 12 women on general seat. In this elections, we see only 6 women coming on general election. Bringing women into mainstream politics, we have to bring in more democracy into our political parties.
And more elections within the party, of course.
In which it said that 10% of the tickets on general elections to be allocated to women by each party.
To win.
But that bill did not get support from any party. The passage could not be completed.
I think I agree with you. Let me bring in Ms. Anis Haroon, who's worked on women's issues almost all her life, since ever I could remember. Ms. Haroon, when you work with women parliamentarians and with male parliamentarians, especially on women's rights issues, what's the difference you see?
Oh, there is a world of a difference, you know. I always find women more receptive and easy to make them understand. And look at the legislation which has taken place in the last assembly in the last 5 years, and it's historic. 5, 6 progressive laws in favor of women. It happened because 70 women were sitting there and the speaker herself was a woman. And you see, women should realize that politics and statecraft is a very difficult thing. And these legislators sitting in the parliament have the double burden. One, they are women and they have to prove that they are better than men. And when they perform well, we expect them to perform more better. That's a different thing. But we should acknowledge the
role of the women. And as Mr. Mehboob said in a little while, women move more legislation in Parliament, especially in the last session, than the male members. Exactly. Yeah. Let me come to another point that I found very interesting. Before I ask any of you what you think, I want to go to Sarah on social media, because recently, if you've noticed, when the new parliament came into power, there was a lot of media coverage on how women dressed, what they wore, their shoes, their bags. I just found it really interesting, for lack of a better word. So, Sarah, I want to come to you and find out, what do people think about this kind of coverage given to women?
You and I probably found it interesting, but
I mean, interesting. I'm using it because I don't want to use the word I really think.
Absolutely. Interesting, strange maybe. We all found it a little bit awkward, and believe me, a lot of our commenters, it's a very sore issue for them too, particularly women commenters. Now, most women didn't really like this fact that there was a lot of coverage of this, and a lot of men also agreed with them. And I want to tell you a comment, Iram Khan. She says that it's a woman's right to dress up whatever way she wants. If she's dressed inappropriately, then one can object, as these women are representatives of the state. Otherwise, there is no reason for the media to discuss a female parliamentarian's attire. Now, Wafa Nawaz, he agrees with this and says media should refrain from such coverage and instead focus on the way of governance of these parliamentarians. But Amar Alvi and Asif Rahman think that parliamentarians are public figures, so we can comment on them. Media should show the expenses of female MNAs and MPs before and after coming into power. Let's also see how the women we spoke to for our show today feel about this type of media coverage.
I must say, it's not the issue to glamorize or to show off. I feel here media should act responsibly and ethically, because it's the issue of affordability.
फीमेल ऑलरेडी सबको पता है कि वो लोग इतना आगे आती भी नहीं है, और अगर इस तरह उनको डिस्करेज किया जाए तो मुझे लगता है कि ये चीज़ें मीडिया को कम से कम इस तरह की नेगेटिव एक चीज़ को नहीं आगे लाने, बल्कि उनको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा फीमेल्स को इनकरेज करना चाहिए.
तो मीडिया पे उन चीज़ों को हाईलाइट नहीं करना चाहिए जो कि मुल्क को कौम पर असरअंदाज ना हो सकती हों. तो मीडिया को सिर्फ उन चीज़ों को कैप्चर करना चाहिए जो उन ख़वातीन की एबिलिटी को शो करें कि वो मुल्क के लिए कितना काम कर सकती हैं और मुल्क को कितना आगे लेके जा सकती हैं.
So all the women that we spoke to and all the women on our Facebook pages disagreed with that kind of coverage. Now, I do want to thank our viewers and our social media followers, because we have such a large volume of comments, particularly on facebook.com/VOA Urdu. So we really appreciate your feedback. Be sure to read them and let us know your thoughts, because we read every comment.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, since we had a lot of female comments, I want to go to Mr. Mehboob first and get a man's point of view. Mr. Mehboob, do you think there was any relevance to covering the clothes, the shoes, the fashion of the new female parliamentarians?
I was myself very disappointed and appalled by the level of coverage given in the Pakistani mainstream electronic media about how women dressed, what kind of bag they carried, what shoes they wore. I think it is very irresponsible, and I think it is irrelevant also. If they have to focus on these things, if they want to focus on extravagance of members, then they should be equally focusing on men and women. And why should they be singling out these women about their dress and the way they carry their bags? I think they should be focusing.
Exactly, the men also the men also wear expensive watches and expensive.
They come on Parliament, so they should be, I think, even-handed. It should not be specially discriminated against women what kind of dress they wear. So I was myself disappointed.
And just to be fair, it wasn't just Pakistani media. American media has faced similar criticism when Hillary Clinton's hairstyle at one time was criticized, and women's rights groups here were really angry. Ms. Rahman, I want to ask you as a parliamentarian, do you feel you face more scrutiny that's more of this shallow kind of scrutiny as opposed to what you're really doing compared to your male counterparts, or was it just a one-off?
No, it was much more, the women are under much more scrutiny than their male counterparts. We were under microscope all the time, what we were doing, by how we were moving, to whom we were talking. So it wasn't fair. It was very, very irresponsible. And media should be refraining from all these unproductive sort of comments and unproductive sort of programs, and rather they should be focusing more on the issues that are being faced by the common women in Pakistan than showing a few women wearing bags, expensive bags. If they can afford it, if it is tax-paid money, then nobody has a right to object to it. So I think it was very unfair.
I totally agree with you. And as a member of media, I was very disappointed by all that coverage. Honestly, I think Pakistani media went overboard. But like I said, American media has done this in the past and has come under criticism for similar reasons. I want to come to you, Ms. Anis Haroon, and find out, when these women are in Parliament and they're pushing forward legislation, how much support do they get from their parties?
Well, I think one thing which was very positive, which happened in the last assembly, was that the speaker had formed a women's caucus. So all the issues on, women's issues, mostly the women parliamentarians across party will be on board, you see. And they would take up this task of convincing the party members, which are mostly men, to support this legislation. I think that process was very helpful because women came as a solid bloc. And that was the reason that why that assembly was able to pass 5, progressive laws in favor of women. So I think that was a very, very good example. And I would like to just add to the discussion what you were saying before, that why don't these men at social media or women or the journalists discuss about the Armani suits and your glasses and body shoes of men, which,
and
you'll find in abundance?
The cars they drive, which is the most expensive item of all. Some of them drive really expensive cars.
They just, they just focus on, and I feel that this comes into the harassment and intimidation of women, and this is the same psyche which wants to put women behind and out of the public arena. So it should be, it should be condemned, and it should be totally.
Media needs to, and I think if the women's rights groups in Pakistan raise their voice, just like women's rights groups in US raise their voice, media will be less likely to do so in future. But Ms. Rahman, we have very little time. I want to come to you and just tell me 20 seconds. Do you agree with Yasmin Rahman that you were a bloc and that's why your parties had to listen to you?
Yes, of course. I think Anis is perfect. I think she's absolutely right. And when, especially the role of speaker, when the women come in the mainstream parliamentary position, that's the position of a speaker, she can lead really the way. And it was much easier for us than other assemblies, because we had a speaker who was very supportive, and the women caucus who was headed by the speaker.
Having the presence
so women
of,
have to come on mainstream, and women have to. Last comment would be women have to be given mainstream.
In the mainstream.
Position.
I'm so sorry, I have to interrupt you because our time is up. I wish we had more time, but I want to thank our guests, Ahmed Bilal Mahboob, the Executive Director of PILDAT, Anis Haroon, the former Chairman of the National Commission on the Status of Women, and Yasmeen Rahman, the former advisor to the Prime Minister on women's issues. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.